Hello, everyone. Okay, welcome back to the spiritual alphabet. Today's letter is I, and what I've been practicing all week is the idea of idle mind awareness. What does that mean? Well, I notice throughout my day, I am either working on something. For example, I'm recording this video, or I am writing something, or I am cleaning something up, or there are obviously many things we focus on throughout the day and evening. But then there are moments where we're not focusing our mind on something. It could be, you're just walking around the house, or you're in the bathroom, or you are relaxing, or whatever you're doing that you're not focusing your mind on something. The question is, are we aware of what our mind is doing during those times? Because there's a lot of idle mind time throughout one's day. I find myself often, for example, playing a song in my head. you know, it's very. I guess that's just I grew up very musically, and so it's easy for me to hear music in my head, and I find myself playing songs in my head a lot. So that's when I know, oh, it's idle mind. It's an idle mind right now. Or occasionally I might be replaying a conversation I had with someone, not for any particular purpose of learning from it or to, find some benefit from it, but just, idle mind chatter. Other times I might be unconscious about worrying about something, or unconsciously thinking badly about something or someone, and all of those, and that's I think that's key number one, is to notice what your mind is doing when you're not purposely focused on something. To notice those moments, and it's not easy because we're used to ignoring, or we're used to living unconsciously. That's the point. All of us are used to just letting our mind do whatever it does. We're focused on something that makes sense, but when we're not focused on, we just let the mind, you know, they call it monkey mind. You just let the mind do its own thing, whatever it's doing, and you don't bring attention and control to your mind. You just let it wander and let it do all kinds of often irrelevant things, and sometimes negative things that actually harm you physically. Because if your mind is kept on negative thoughts, it has a subtle negative effect on your physical health as well. And of course, it has a negative effect on maybe your relationships, or how you approach the next situation where you focus your mind because you're in a bad mood, right? And so that's been my practice all week, is idle mind awareness, to say, okay, can I catch myself when I'm actually having an idle mind? And it doesn't have to be a hard thing, because like when you're working, okay, when you're working, that's a little bit simpler. Like you're either working on it or you're not working on it. Your mind is going elsewhere. Okay, then you can catch it. But when you're not working, that's also very clear. Like when you're not working and you're not like watching TV, or doing some kind of even when you're doing some kind of chore, your mind can be idle and can be wandering all kinds of places. So it's just first decide when in the day you tend to have an idle mind, and make a conscious effort to be more aware during those times of what your mind is doing. Okay, that's step number one. Is just to be, and that for many people, that's and probably for me too. That's a lifetime of practice already. That's already a lifetime curriculum, just to become aware, to become more aware of our idle mind when we're not focused on something. Okay, and that's the first level. And then the second level is, well, what do you do when you recognize your idle mind, right? Another example, taking a shower. When you're taking a shower or cleaning yourself, hygiene, that's you're so used to doing that all your life that you don't, brushing your teeth, you have to like focus. Maybe some people focus on one tooth at a time or whatever, but brushing your teeth, taking a shower, whatever other hygiene things you do, other also basic chores you do so often that you don't think about doing it. Okay, cleaning something. Anyway, so level one, become aware of your idle mind, because those are opportunities. Those are opportunities to gradually change the state of your regular mood. Let me say that again. When you become aware of your idle mind and learn to shift its direction towards something more beneficial, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about what I've been trying out. When you learn to see your idle mind and then shift it in a more beneficial direction, then over time, your overall mood in your life gets lifted up, because your mood depends, of course, on your ruminations. What you're like. I mean, mood is connected with other things. I mean, hormones. There can be, but your mind certainly affects your mood, right? Whatever you're ruminating on and giving attention to in your thoughts, it's going to affect your mood. And of course, your mood and your thoughts both affect your physical body. So over time, as you do this practice, not only do you become a more cheerful person or a better mood person, but you also positively affect your health. And I believe it also affects your relationships, because you're in a better mood. You also have better thoughts. It affects how you work. It affects how you do everything in your life. So it's quite an important and subtle but important practice. All right, level one. To decide when in your day and evening you tend to have an idle mind, and just decide to practice more, noticing what's the contents of your mind, the contents of your thinking during those idle times when you're not purposely focused on something. Okay, step one, level one. Level two, what do you do now once you notice the idle mind? Oh, I'm playing a song in my head again. Or, oh, I'm replaying some event that happened, but not doing it purposefully. I'm just replaying something that happened in my head. Or, oh my gosh, I'm thinking of worried about the future again. Like, just noticing that. Okay, what do you do then? Well, it's up to you what you want to do. You are a creator. You have the power over your mind. So the question, well, I want to pose to you the question. What are you going to do when you catch your idle mind? What's your answer? What would you recommend to a close friend? Let's say you're really close to somebody and they're just like you, and they're telling you this problem, like, oh, I've caught myself thinking, worrying, playing some random song in my head or replaying some event in a not very purposeful way, in a way that maybe makes me a bad mood. How should I manage my mind? How should I influence my mind at that point? What would you say? Well, I welcome you to pause this video if you like and make a decision. Well, how would you advise that, friend that's so close to how you are? You can comment below, of course. I would love to see that if you like. Okay, ready? Let me share with you what I do. So I keep it simple. Well, the way I can, because you have to keep it simple so that you remember what to do in that moment, rather than going, okay, what was I going to do, right? So the way I keep it simple is I just go back to my spiritual alphabet, and right now I'm on letter I, idle mind awareness, right? What was the letter before this? It was H, which was I talked about healing. And what was the letter before this? It was G, which I talked about grow. Anyway, so I've just been practicing those two letters during my idle mind times. I'm like, well, I'll just go back to something more useful. So when I've caught my mind being idle, the first thing I do is remember the healing practice. I talked about this in the spiritual alphabet healing episode. I breathe out and I feel the healing experience of breathing out, of exhaling. And I also try to feel the healing experience of whatever it is I have to be doing in the moment. If I'm in the shower, feeling the shout, the water is a healing experience. If I'm doing some chore, I feel a healing experience of doing that. You can go back to that episode, Spiritual Alphabet Healing, to understand what I mean by it, the healing experience. But that's what I do. I do the healing experience first. And then after a moment or a few moments, I then go back to the letter G, which for me stands for grow. I have an episode on that, Spiritual Alphabet Grow. You can look at that. But I basically I basically experience gratitude, Grow. I first focus on gratitude for a moment to say, what am I grateful for right now? Okay? And then I focus on R, which is reflection. It's like, how can I purposefully reflect on something that happened today? Something that happened today that I can learn from, that I might want to do differently next time, perhaps. Or what can I be proud of, right? Reflecting. And then opening to the very next experience I'm going to have. How can I witness myself doing that next experience with more virtue, with more spirit. Anyway, so that's what I've been practicing all week, and I'll tell you, it's been a better week as a result than normal, because if we are not aware of our idle mind activity, we are the victim of our bad moods. We are the victim of whatever happened in our day or in our life that we're replaying. And oftentimes it's things that we don't like to replay. I wish I had done this differently, or I wish that person didn't do that, or I wish the world weren't like this, or we are worried about the future. Like the idle mind is such an opportunity for all of this, for your ability to grow yourself throughout the day. So anyway, that's all I wanted to share with you. I hope this is interesting and helpful to you in some way. Like I said, it takes it takes years just to be aware of your idle mind, and with enough control to actually do something with it. So I think the fact that you're watching this means that you already are more mindful than most people, probably. I mean, you're interested in spiritual things, so you're already more aware of your mental activities. So you're already probably past level one of just being able to notice your idle mind. And now the question is, how will you shift your idle mind in more beneficial directions in those moments? Okay, well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching and joining me on this journey. Wishing you well.